Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Imagine That. I'm your host, Amanda, and today we are going to dive back into the armchair Imagineering chair, the chair of Imagineering, and discuss how we can improve Main Street USA. So, last time we talked about Main Street USA through the eyes of the Imagineering pyramid. So, if you missed that episode, go back and take a listen because we talked all all about Main Street USA. And today we're gonna armchair Imagineer it. So we're gonna have some fun. But before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors, Sunken City Design, Getaway Today, and Where in the Park. And of course, big shout out to our lamplighters and our Patreons and all of those who are on the Discords, keeping the conversation going. And if you have not joined our absolutely free Discord yet, you really, really should because we are on there all the time. We're having some deep conversations. We're sharing the news of the day, and it's a lot of fun. So be sure to click down on in the show notes and check out our Discord when you have a chance. So before we walk down the middle of Main Street, let's say hi to the rest of the crew here today. Lou, how's it going?
It's going good, except for that intro. Now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head.
Oh,
Yep.
well, you should though. It's fitting.
But no, I am doing good. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to armchair Imagineer tonight.
Absolutely. And rounding out the crew tonight is Kevin. How's it going, Kevin?
It's going great. I'm excited for another great show over here. And yeah, Main Street. It's gonna be tough. Don't get me wrong. I keep thinking about like what could be plussed over here, and obviously that's what we're gonna be talking about. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting episode. So buckle up, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's one of those things of like there is so much packed into such a small space that is Main Street USA. And there's a lot writing on it. Like we talked about last time, right? Like it is the very first thing that you see, and it is the very last thing that you see. So it has to set the stage not only for the park, but also for the entire experience that you are about to have as you walk through your day at Disneyland. So there's a lot that's going for it. That's like you can't touch it. Don't touch it. You're gonna mess with the flow. But I'm excited to see what ideas we come up with. We have not discussed what ideas we have so far with each other, so I'm excited to dive in. So first, let's set the boundaries of where Main Street actually is. So let's pull up the map, and if you are just listening, we'll kind of describe it with words, but we encourage you to check out our YouTube page where we have the Google Maps up here. So you can see just where Main Street USA is. So, um, some say that it goes to the turnstiles, like me. Others say that it starts at the train station, the tunnels underneath, and it goes all the way out to the hub. That is where the partner statue is with Walt and Mickey, and then it goes to the spokes of the wheel, as it were, as you go into each land. So if you look at a park map, it is color coded and Main Street is in a brown shade, and it actually goes to the land entrances where you have Adventureland, Frontierland. It goes all the way up to that border. which I think is very interesting because we talked about transitions, and the transition starts a little bit before that sometimes, but that's where the borders are for Main Street USA. So who wants to kick us off with some ideas of how we can plus
Before
Main
we
Street?
continue, I do want to specify for everyone listening that we are really talking about just Disneyland in
Oh
California.
yes,
We're
good
focusing on
distinction.
just that main street. We know that there's main streets across the planet, but we're focusing on this one. We are part of Walt's Apartment Productions, and that's where Walt's apartment is located. So Disneyland Main Street, that's what we're talking about today. Um, as far as ideas, man, like I said, it's gonna be a tough one. Looking at it, like personally, I don't want to add any rides to Main Street. I agree with the Imagineering choice that's been made for what almost 70 years now, that this land does not need a ride. And I'm perfect with that. I agree with that. I'm okay with that. If you guys disagree, you have a great idea, pitch it. I'm willing to listen to it. But as far as I'm concerned, it's great the way it is without any kind of ride. I know one of the early ideas from Walt was to have Edison Square. It was going to be a street off to the right side of Main Street, where you were going to have an attraction that was kind of like looking at it, it seems like it's great. Or not great. Sorry. What's it? The Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow Show. What's that called? Carousel of Progress. There you go.
Yeah.
The Carousel of Progress was pretty much brainstormed as kind of a, it's like theater to theater walkthrough is how it was designed for Edison Square. But they eventually made the show years later at the 1964 World's Fair as what it is today at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom. So you don't need to add that over here. So I don't say put Edison Square into Disneyland. I know people out there will say that every once in a while, but I disagree with that. I just think it needs little plussing. That's all I would really pitch for this. Um, we were discussing before, like we weren't discussing a lot. The only thing that I brought up, and I know Lou has it like in his like sketch. I know what his plan is for it, but for Main Street, if you guys have been to Disneyland on a really busy day, or like right before or after the fireworks, you know that there are actually pass throughs they put in to the right and to the left of Main Street, where you walk behind the shops of Main Street to get from the side that's closer to the train station to over closer to where the hub is. Um, but they didn't really do a lot to those areas. You're kind of walking past plywood walls, is what it looks like to me. On the right side, it has movie posters. Some of them might be ride attraction posters as well, maybe just ride attractions. But they're dated. Like it feels like they just threw it together quickly and haven't thought about it since. On the other side, closer to the Jungle Cruise, you feel like you are backstage because you technically are backstage at that point. You're going right next to the side of the Jungle Cruise and the backside of the shops, and the backsides of the shops are actually active. Like you can tell like how they get merchandise into those shops if you look at it closely. They have like those big doors, like kind of like a garage door, but maybe with like a vinyl. I'm not sure what's covering it, but it's not very appealing. So my suggestion personally would be to invest in actual facades down those streets. That way it feels like you're still in turn of the century America, but in the back streets or in the back alleys of those areas. Even if you don't add anything else other than the facades, I would be okay with it. Like over at Universal Studios here in California, there's the Paris Street. If you guys are familiar with that park, I know some listeners do not go to Universal, so over there is a street there that looks like you are in Paris, and one side of the street is actually just the back side of Mel's Diner. So you can't do anything with any of those shops or like music store like kind of facades. Yeah, if you're watching the video, Amanda or Lou, I'm not sure who's bringing up the Google Street View of what's on the left side over here. Yeah, so yeah, right now it is just kind of temporary walls they put in to quickly be able to get guests through, kind of as a proof of concept to see if it would even work to alleviate the crowds. And I want to say it has worked because they keep using them. So I think it's time to invest to make it feel like it's really part of the land. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I remember when we were talking with Matt McKim about this, because guests should not be going backstage, right? And this is a glimpse behind the curtain of backstage, but it does nothing for the story. And in fact, it takes you out of the story when you just see these plywood walls. And it's really unfortunate because it is clearly used night after night after night, and it's taking away from the guest experience when you do that. Logistically, it makes sense. And we've talked about that when they with the parade and nighttime spectaculars, like how do you adjust for bottlenecks? But you have to do something with this area. And so this has always been on my to-do list as well of please plus this area. Even if it was just a historical walkthrough of like the showpieces that some parks have where it shows their entire history from day one all the way to current day, and it has it broken down by era or decade or whatever. You could have that if you're stuck on the plywood, at least have something that is telling of the story of why the park is here, make it educational. Um, and you can have it open all the time. You don't have to have it as just an emergency exit kind of a thing. But that's what I think. What do you think?
So, me, I kind of agree with Kevin. I don't think it needs a ride, but I do think it needs a ride. But a subtle ride, like a people mover type ride. And I feel like I'm about to pull both your guys' ideas with my idea. I think we need
Horse-drawn trolley.
Walt's foot.
Oh, never mind.
No, we need like a walk in Walt's footstep tour, but like through, like, build a small people mover that just goes around Main Street and above the buildings. Because the one thing that I don't like about the Main Street is the nighttime. At nighttime, besides the look of it, Main Street becomes real industrial. You start seeing the giant parade lamps up above them. The forced perspective is gone. Like it really pulls you out of, oh, this is way different than it was this morning. This is now just an attraction. Me, it would almost be cooler to build those facades up a little bit, add another layer to them where the people mover idea takes place above the shops of Main Street. But then you can disguise your parade lamps in the new windows that are being built if you go a layer up. And you'd obviously have to really work in the forced perspective. But then in the new windows that you're making to build this ride attraction, you'd have them on top of the buildings. And then the people mover would go through. So me personally, as much as I love Disneyland is your line queue building. Okay.
Really?
You look at the map. You look at the map right here. You have the line queue. It loads up. Okay. It goes. If you're sitting here watching, because back there where the parade route parks, so there's two routes. It can go in and hang a left, or it can go in and stay right and go over behind Space Mountain. So that whole, and this is where the idea came from. But I started off backwards because your ideas are the same thing in a way. The first aid building is what threw me off when I looked at the images. That first aid building looks like it was an afterthought. It's just tucked in there. So you take the first aid building, rework it somewhere. There's that whole sheriff's building over by the city council, which is never open. Make that first aid. Get rid of that entire building. Convert one of the restrooms to be the mother family bathing nursing center. And then that gives that whole open area. What this does is then your attraction goes in, around, and then up above the building, and then back down just the one side, unfortunately, because you can't have a giant bridge over Main Street. Look weird. But you make a people mover ride telling the story of Walt and his journey through Disneyland. But it's an evergreen ride because then you could do different stories very similar to Soaring Over California, where during the holiday times, talk about new things that we're doing in the holidays, or history and learning. And it starts off with the Disneyana being the line queue, which is also a pre-show. You're talking to Walt. So then you can convert Walt to giving the pitch of whatever you're about to experience, and then you go on the People Mover ride of the theme of Walt through the holidays, Walt in Disneyland, Walt in animation. I mean, it's always surrounding that, and then therefore it just takes that whole little backspace right there and gives you a small attraction.
Wow.
So would you be able to see those vehicles as you're walking down Main Street, though?
No, it's because you have
okay.
You're extending those buildings up to hide that facade.
Okay.
But those buildings, then obviously you have to build the other side up too, so it looks even. And those buildings, though, the new lift, you could hide the lights for the parades within those windows. So that way at nighttime, you don't have these industrial giant lamps kind of killing the forced perspective and magic of Main Street because we have to light the parade up.
Just to clarify, that means that when you're on the ride, you can't see Main Street. You're just seeing a different attraction while you're on it. Okay.
Correct.
I was picturing People Mover where you can see Tomorrowland as you zip around.
No, just the people on the Omnimover system.
Okay. Just the ride system. Okay. I'm on board more now than I was a second ago when I was picturing vehicles on tops of the buildings that are looking down at the people below. I'm like, what is this? But you're making a lot more sense now. I like this. I
started backwards because Amanda shared, some history, keep it updated and stuff like that. And then you sharing it doesn't need a ride, even though that's kind of like Main Street 1.5 now because it's behind Main Street. But if we're going based on the parameters of this map, that's fair real estate. So,
for Walt Disney, you made it sound like he's in the line queue. Was that what you're picturing, or did I misunderstand?
You would gut the theater, and he would be like a pre-show, like Ray and BB-8 on the Rise of Repairs, or like
I was picturing Buzz Lightyear.
No, you
had the animatronic as you're walking right around him.
Yeah, well,
that'd be a show stop.
Yeah, maybe a show stop. Yeah. Now I'm trying to figure that part out. I mean, it's hard because Disneyana is already an established building, so you're about if we were some Imagineers. I mean, we are here at Walt's apartment, but if we were to pull this off, if we were to go Bob Chapek or Josh D'Amaro with this, my head would be on a stake right now. But just saying, you look at Disneyana whole building.
Yeah, the building does have a restroom in it though, and they don't like moving plumbing.
Then you have, but you can still have those doors on the outside.
So you're not knocking down the building; you're just working around it.
You're just converting it to be a line queue.
Right.
Mm-hmm. If anything, you could still keep the theater. You have the line snake through at Disneyana. Right now where they have all the Disney 100 stuff, or it was before it closed, the Mad Hatter store. You could have a line queue, switch back in there, load up 100 people into the theater, watch that, and then it's kind of a line gobbler for hey, the line's never poking out into Main Street.
Yeah. I can see that, and then have a separate part after the show is done to then go to the ride.
Correct. Yep. You'd probably have to go upstairs, and then the loading queue would be upstairs, so that way the floats can get underneath it. Which, if you're doing a Walt's ride, it would be cool to allow windows there so you can see just a glimpse. See where the parade is parking or leaving. The same way you see a glimpse into behind the scenes on the train or the monorail back behind Small World, where you don't get a whole lot of magic ruined, but you get just enough to say, that's what this is all about.
You'd have to have some strategically placed windows, though, because there's some things that aren't yet complete and ready to be on stage. Well, we'll say that.
It'd be sick if the walkway to get on the ride queue was a window floor, So you're just at some point you're just walking right over the float. Like holy cow, that'd be an interesting view.
That would be interesting. All right. I mean, there is quite a bit of land back there. I mean, I know that there's obviously it's for deliveries, it's for the restaurants, it's for emergency exits. I mean, if anything needed to, an ambulance needed to get back there for first aid, um, that's all that area back there. I'm not sure what this other building is directly behind Space Mountain there on the parade
I mean,
route, but
there's those trees right there for the dog kennel and strollers. You could just gut that.
who needs that? I
I
wonder.
mean, put the strollers in the fourth location for Earl of Sandwich. If Earl of Sandwich can move around, we can move this stroller place around.
Well, the strollers and stuff that's outside of the gates already.
Yeah, but where the trees are, that's kind of like covering the little storage area for the wash area where they wash the strollers and all that stuff, right?
Well, you have the train track there, so I think the trees are just around the train track.
Oh, just get rid of the train.
Yeah,
I'm playing. I'm playing.
Who needs that? Walt wouldn't even mind.
Yeah, the trees at the bottom of the train tracks. But yeah, that's a very interesting idea. I hadn't thought about adding an attraction, but yeah, I can see that. That would be very interesting. Um, all right. Any thoughts on Kevin's behind the scenes walkway before we go to our first break?
I think you could definitely make those something and just small enhancements, really small, nothing crazy. You can, I would definitely do a covered patio, so you could have like,
Oh yeah.
imagine like a baby version, a Disney version of Fremont Street, where you're walking through and you see Peter Pan and Dumbo flying across the ceiling because it's covered. It'd be kind of cool. But there's not much you can do to it. But you should definitely.
Would that feel Main Street to you, though?
Well, good thing it's behind Main Street, technicality.
All right. All right. So we're making it definitely what it is right now, where it's not actually part of a land. It's just a magical walkway. So we'll double down on that storyline.
It's to double down on the fact that like this is not your everyday experience, right? Unless you go to the park every day. But like this is something different. This is something magical, and you know whether you go into the park from that walkway or you're going down the walkway and heading home, it could be a pre-show and post-show for you as well. Of like there's more magic to there could be a scene overhead that is guiding you in that direction, right? So you want to follow what's happening in the scene. Dumbo could be flying over. I mean, I just envisioned like Hagrid's magical creatures, that line where there's that room where there's the creatures going overhead and there's lights and sounds and all kinds of stuff happening above you. So it's
make the posters digital. So it's like the staircase in Hogwarts where the pictures are like talking to you. Have the movie posters, but then when you stare long enough, all of a sudden you see like one of the Lost Boys jump from one side of the poster to the other. Like, wait, did you see that? And play on that where like they're not really posters, they're like digital screens, and they could be interactive as you're walking through. Nothing too crazy because you don't want to get clogged in there. But you're walking by and you see the Jolly Roger kind of swoop out from Neverland, and then it just, off the page real quick. Done. Nothing crazy. Like, hey, did you see that?
I'm picturing Zero in the Haunted Mansion Holiday. You walk down that hallway.
Yeah. I was thinking like in the World of Disney store at Downtown Disney, where it looks like just a quick drawing of something, but then it comes to life, or a still from the movie, and then that comes to life, and Tink is flying around from frame to frame and all that. So it is possible. It's already happening.
Technology exists.
Yes. All right. Well, with that, let's take our first break and let's hear from Sunken City Designs. What's going on over there?
Sunken City Designs brings you art. Do you like art? What about Disney characters like Mickey Mouse and the Oyster Thieves? You know, that's actually from Alice in Wonderland, the best princess movie ever made. Also, we have some dwarfs that have their heads ripped off sometimes. Why? I don't know. It's because it's Sunken City Design. So go there, sunkencitydesign.com. Get yourself some great merchandise. You got posters and, I believe, clothes. Who knows? I got a cup from there, and it's fantastic. Do you like cups? Do you ever use those? I do. Go for it. Oh, yeah, sweatshirts. Can't forget about those. If you're ever cold, get yourself a sweatshirt from sunkencitydesign.com. Also, Wall-E. You know, that's the best movie ever made. Second only to Alice in Wonderland. All right. If you also like Walt's apartment, they have merch for that too. Where? sunkencitydesign.com. Hopefully you've already loaded up that site and you're looking at it and you have some items in your cart. Go ahead and check out as soon as you can because the show's about to come back on. All right, everybody. We appreciate you.
We do appreciate you. Lou, what's going on over at Sunken City Designs? What's new?
So right now, we are getting ready for a couple events lined up in May. The long-awaited Sewer Buddies print is in production. Had a few people ask about those, and to my surprise, we've never got them. So reached out to our manufacturer. They are en route, as well as we got some fresh decks from Sewer Buddies coming out that will be in hand shortly. So overall, right now, we are just kind of on the checkered flag finish for Sewer Buddies, but also prepping to go into show season here for the months of May and June. So that's what we got going on right now.
Awesome. Sounds like an
You say
action-packed summer
deck.
for sure.
You say deck, you mean like a skateboard deck? Awesome.
Correct. Yep. We have the 4 turtles and the 4 villains, 2 on each board of each set. They are printed on the shredder boards, which is the old retro late 80s, early 90s boards. Obviously, Shredder being a character from the Turtles, and them offering a Shredder board. It went hand in hand. And yeah, they are available on sunkencitydesign.com. They do have the longest turnaround just because our partnership with Board Pushers, it takes a little while to get this in hand, but it is the cheapest, most affordable price for you, the consumer. So that's why we went with them.
And it's worth the wait. So it's perfect.
Yeah. And if you want, they can come with the wall hanging gear. So that way you have all the gear you need to mount it on your wall. Or if you would like, reach out to me on Instagram and we could actually have it manufactured where it's a complete, ready to go deck for a little extra cost, unfortunately.
But still, that's really cool that you can get, because I was just thinking, like, I don't even know how we would hang that up, you know. But if you can work it to where it comes with the whole setup, that's rad.
Yeah. And if you're in the Oceanside area, May 31st, we were invited by the Noel Family Foundation sobriety event, surrounded in support of the band Sublime. And if you're out there at that event, we will have just a small, limited amount of skateboard decks on hand that we will be available for purchase. Normally, we do not carry these in hand because it's hard to get those in time. But right now, we have decks on pre-order that should be here the second week of May.
Sweet. I'm excited to hear more about that event, too. That sounds like a really fun time.
Yeah, as soon as we get more information and the reels start coming out, they're looking at the first week of April for like more promotion, but the info is available on my Instagram at Sunken City Designs.
Sweet. All right. So back to Main Street. So while we were at break, Lou had that light bulb moment go off. I was typing in our private chat over here. So let's flesh this idea out. What do you have?
All right. So you know how the windows on Main Street, I don't know if they still do, but at one point there used to be 2 stories in a window. It would convert to a different story, convert back to one story. What if Main Street had two identities? From the park opening to the flag retreat, it's Walt's Main Street, the Main Street we know and love to this day. But what if, as soon as the flag retreat happened, it was like Imagination Land, where like the Main Street itself mildly comes to life, and this kind of plays in favor of the parades, the projection mapping, where the authentic Main Street kind of plays second to modern day technology. But what if, and this is kind of the same idea with the screens we were talking about backstage, what if the windows that are just, I don't want to say stale, but for lack of better words, the stale windows all of a sudden had characters in them where you see, and I keep referencing the Lost Boys because there's a lot of personality there. You see them walking through, like the silhouettes of them, kind of like the technology in Star Tours when you're in line, and you see all the different Star Wars characters walking by. You're like, hey, there's so-and-so. Like things, the actual land comes to life where maybe the Main Street vehicles are no longer able to ride with guests, but you bring back like Long Lost Friends Week where you never know who's going to be in the cars. They come out, they do a there and back loop, kind of like a cavalcade, but like after the flag retreat, it becomes, I don't want to say a second Toontown because it's a little aggressive for Main Street, but just the Disney from then, now, and in the future, and we just see Disney through the years on Main Street, where during the day it's Walt's Disney, but then at night it's Disney's Disney, and we get a lot of play on characters. Maybe, I don't know, the Plaza Inn does a fireworks dinner with friends versus Mickey's breakfast with friends. Maybe we see the Penguins, Mary, and Bert out there at the Jolly Holiday only at nighttime. Bring some of that nighttime enjoyment back to Main Street. Obviously, that would be hard, and the imagination at night would only have to run on off days of fireworks because obviously we all know bottlenecking is a real issue at Disneyland. But it's simple, it's easy, and it's an easy plus to the already nighttime Main Street Monday through Thursday.
To your point, like you were saying, like after flag retreat's at 6:00, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 6:05, somewhere around there. And so if fireworks aren't until 9:30, you have 3 hours to play with. If there's not another nighttime show down Main Street, right? In the summertime, there's usually a parade or something going on. Fine. But to your point, those nights that there isn't another nighttime show before the fireworks, absolutely. You can have this happening. It's not just the Fab Five that are taking pictures. I love that idea of having Mary Poppins and Bert and the Penguins roaming around. Or even just at the Jolly Holiday, or having some sort of meet and greet thing. Like, I don't think we have that too much at night beyond the Fab Five. So having some other characters there would be really fun. But while you were describing that, I was thinking, like, this is a town, right? Main Street, U.S.A. is evocative of a town, but like, who lives there? So that would answer the question of, like, I'm not saying the characters live there, but maybe they're just visiting, and we don't really get, like, people live here. They live on the second stories of these shops. So I think that could play into that idea of, people are coming home for the day. Let's hang out, mingle with them, and then having the shadows in the windows indicating movement. People live there. I think that would be really, really fun. I like it.
Yeah, I can see a lot of that. I know. I was throwing around the bad ideas over the weekend with Amanda, where I was saying, hey, Main Street USA is turn of the century U.S.A. from when Walt was alive in 1955, like when he was designing this. It was only like 55 years earlier. Like we're here in 2025. Why don't we have it where it becomes turn of the century from the late 80s, 1980s to the early 2000s? It's the same like time period it is for this, but I couldn't think of like, you don't want it all the time, but if you turn that into like the nighttime party was like, hey, we're partying like it's 1999 on Main Street because it becomes turn of the century, the last century after the flag retreat. I mean, I can see that being a vibe, at least for a little while. If it's like, they could test it as an event. I know the Emporium has those windows, like you were saying, where they turn from one thing to another, but they've kind of been out of commission for a few years now. So it's time for an overdue.
Yeah, I mean, you already have almost the perfect theme song for this, and you could probably edit it a little bit. But Mickey's Mixed Magic, the Get Your Ears On, that's a jam. Like, let's be honest, that song is timeless, and you could sit there and have different variations. They already have King Louie and stuff like that. You could have different variations to play along with the characters you're showing that night. So then the true Disney fan, when they hear that, they're like, wait a minute, that's Robin Hood. That means he's in town. We're like, you're playing along with the songs, and there's just, obviously, you're not going to go through the entire catalog. I'm sorry to say it, friends. We're not going to see Brer and all them on the Main Street. We're not seeing it. But the characters you do have, because there's a lot of characters that they have for these one-night events. Look at all the throwback night costumes that we're only seeing that 1 year. There's so many costumes in their vault that, like, hey, I get it. You try to keep it exclusive for that one night. But if you're only doing that one night, that 1 year, that costume is just sitting there hanging up. Not only that, I'm sure there's plenty of costumes either on site or nearby when they did that Long Lost Friends week during Limited Time Magic for the 3 years. You saw all the entire Pinocchio crew, the entire Robin Hood. Now, granted, some of those costumes have seen better days. Robin Hood doesn't quite look like Robin Hood, but if those costumes are outdated, get some new ones. The new Buzz Lightyear, Woody, and Jesse, those are dialed in. Those are dialed. Like, come on. I mean, there are some costumes that I hope stay to certain areas. Gunshot to the head of Miguel, I don't know about that one. That freaks me out. That one, I don't know who decided to design that, but it looks aggressive. But I think that would be really cool. Hey, this is a turn of the night, Let's Walt's in bed, put the ears on. Like, play on the whole Sorcerer Mickey. Hey, Walt's, the flags retreat, Walt's in bed. It's time for us to have some fun.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think that would be a lot of fun, and it would keep things like interesting as far as like who you don't know who's gonna show up. So like, I'm not gonna go ride because I don't know who's gonna show up next.
Mm-hmm.
Just walk up and down Main Street trying to find people. I think that would be really fun. All right. So, anybody have any other ideas before I go to mine?
For it.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
All right. So there's a really big problem we need to talk about. Really big problem that we got to talk about. And we are going to dive into that right after the break.
Hey fam, what scavenger hunt are you doing?
Well, we are doing Where in the Park.
Do you guys know Where in the Park? Because we do.
We do. So how you play this is that they give you a deck of cards with an image on it, and you get to look around and see where in the park that is.
And they're fun. So if you like to find stuff, this is what you need to do.
The amazing game We're in the park right here.
If you're a seasoned Disney park goers as we are, it's a fun, challenging even for the hardcore Disney parks fan.
We have played the Where in the Park games that we felt like, ooh, we got
still
this
a
in
challenge.
the bag. Oh no, yeah, still a challenge, a fun challenge though, not an impossible challenge.
Check
Yeah,
them
really
out.
they get really close to details, and you're like, I have never even seen that. I don't even know.
Where in the park have I seen that?
The great thing about these is that they're not in attractions and they're out in the open places. It's meant for families to play.
Besides people who've been there a lot, it's fun for people that are new to the parks as well, because you catch some of those details that you would probably miss when you're first going.
So there's images that you are finding on one side of the card, and then the other has the hint and the answer that you can reveal if you choose to.
Before it was just the hint and the answer, but now if you really want the land,
It'll tell you
they'll
where.
give you the land for an extra hint. You guys can take as long as you wish without the hint.
Yeah.
Without the hint, it's hard.
But that's what makes it fun.
But they do not just do Disney parks, obviously. What other parks do you guys actually cover?
Universal and
yeah.
all that good stuff.
East
SeaWorld.
Coast, West Coast, and they're
Yes.
continuing to expand even more after that.
Check them out, whereinthepark.com, if you need to get some game packs. They are so much fun.
We appreciate We're in the Park.
They're awesome.
We love
Kevin and
that.
Amanda.
Get you some We're in the Park today.
Hell yeah.
Use promo code Walt's APT Podcast to save 10% at whereinthepark.com.
Absolutely. Go to whereinthepark.com. But first, you need to go down to the show notes and click the link, because doing so directly supports this channel and it helps keep the lights on, the Walt apartment lights on. So please go to that link before checking out Where in the Park and use that code to get 10%. Yeah, 10% off your order, or you can become a Patreon and get $10 off. Even better. So, Kevin, what's going on in the land of Where in the Park?
I was hoping you would ask. I mean, obviously, too. For everyone listening, Amanda and I both run Where in the Park. But coming up very soon is going to be Nurses Day at the park. So if you were a nurse and if you aren't already signed up for this, I hear that there's still time for you to do this. You can go ahead and sign up at nursesdayatthepark.com. I think there's a way to join. I don't know. I don't run it, but we're going to actually have a booth there on April 1st over at the Adventure Tower at Disneyland, which I don't know if that's only open to attendees of this Nurses Day at the Park, or if people walking by can actually sneak into that.
It is also
hopefully Amanda has more
open-
information.
Yes, it is also open to the general public. However, you do need to go to nursesdayatthepark.com and register your time slot, because there's only a certain number of people who can be in the venue at any given time. That's a fire marshal thing. So be sure to register your time slot. And on the 1st, it's open to the public and to any retired or practicing nurse of any I was gonna say denomination, but any practice, and their families. So come on out and say hi. So
By the time that this episode drops, they'll have like one day to get in on this, or what?
Yes.
So if you're listening right away, you can look it up. It's gonna be great. Nursesdayatthepark.com.
Yeah. All right. So I left you with a cliffhanger. There's something really
What's that?
big that we have not yet discussed. And that is it's the certain smell that might take you out of the story.
A lot of people aren't aware of that. I feel like no one ever talks about the
Nobody
the
talks
stench
about
of Main
it.
Street. Yeah.
There's a lot of smells happening on Main Street. There's the popcorn smell, there's the churros, there's the caramel apple, there's the toffee flavor that is, over the confectionery. But there's also a portion of the park that has a very strong sewage smell, and that really needs to be addressed, like really, really badly. I don't know where exactly it's coming from, but it doesn't matter what time of day it is. But obviously, the later part of the day, it's more apparent. Um, but we need to fix this. If we can fix the drainage issue in front of Madame Leota's, we can fix this drainage issue here. Okay, so that needs to happen. Also, same line there. We need to talk about the center part of Main Street and the tracks. So, for any of you guys who have walked down Main Street, there is a life and death situation happening where at any given point you can twist and break an ankle, or you can get your stroller stuck or your wheelchair stuck. And that's never fun. But it's even worse when you realize that inside said track is like horse urine or some sort of foul situation going on because of the horse-drawn trolleys that is going up and down Main Street multiple times a day, especially in the morning. And I feel like as great as the horse-drawn trolleys are, the mess that it leaves behind really takes me out of the storytelling and the magic that is Main Street. And I I really wish that there could be some sort of technology behind this to keep the streets clean and still have the trolley. Like if you go over to the DCA side, there are also tracks, right? There's the trolley tracks. And when I'm there on the DCA side, I never have that fear of, oh, I'm gonna twist an ankle. And I don't know why that is. If like the tracks are just like the gap is shallower, or there's more room to walk on either side, like there's less people. I don't really know. But I feel like every time we're walking down the middle of Main Street, it's kind of a situation. And also, because that's where people are standing and sitting in preparation for fireworks, it's not the most sanitary place to be. And so for me, because of trying to think of the best way to do this, and this is always a what if scenario, but I would like to see some sort of technology where the tracks are also drains. So when the horses are done, either the horses are completely done for the day or periodically throughout the day, not only are they going around and sweeping to make sure that there's no debris, no horse feces in the middle of Main Street, but also somebody is going around with a sprayer and spraying the bricks and keeping them clean because it's not. And at any given time, you're seeing dried feces on the ground all day, every day. Like, it's one of the rare parts of Disneyland that I'm like, every single time. And I don't know. I would love to know your thoughts about this. How could they enhance this without removing the horse-drawn trolley, but also keeping things clean for the park?
To be clear for the listeners who haven't been to the park or have never like watched us or noticed it, the horse is usually followed by a person whose job it is to sweep up the poop. Like they have like a whole like brush and like setup. But the things to Amanda's point is that they aren't getting every little piece of horse dookie as they're doing that. There's little bits that stick behind because it is what it is. They're not going down and scrubbing it like Cinderella every time.
Right.
But yeah, I was picturing when you first brought it up right now. First, horse diapers, which wouldn't look good. And then I was thinking of for Epic Universe where they have that robot that they're turning into a dragon. I'm like, if you can turn that into a horse. I don't know if either of these are the worst ideas. I think they're pretty high up there on bad ideas, but yeah, I don't know. I like your idea of having it where it'd be easier to clean the tracks, so that way there isn't a puddle of horse urine in there. Because I think that's the most alarming when you like see kids kind of like playing in it, you know, where they don't know where it's from. They just see water in a track. Like, oh, that's fine. I'm like, no, dude. Someone tell that kid to get their hand out of that horse pee. Like, I mean, we know what it is, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone's getting sick from it. I guess the horses are healthy, apparently. So, yeah, it is just kind of a weird, like, if you think about it, kind of moment.
It's just a huge juxtaposition. If you have so many people on custodial, right, and they're wiping down trash cans when it's raining, you know, but yet we don't have something where the very center of the pre-show to your park is gonna have literal horse crap. Like, come on.
Have you ever even noticed this as a problem?
Yes, I have, and I got two answers how we can fix this. One is very unhumane, and the other one is very un-Disney. I'll start with the unhumane one. Is there any way to temporarily plug it?
Oh, how sad.
When I said horse diapers, you're talking about like a horse plug.
Mm-hmm. Just, you know,
I don't think that's a thing.
I don't think so. Please do not write in.
Yes. Nope.
Or if you do know, you know that this does exist. You can exonerate Lou with his bad idea here.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. I like my second idea better, but this one I know I'm getting hated on. I think you just get rid of the horse-drawn trolley.
That's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to throw it out there because the horses are lovely. But
create a cool little meet and greet behind Walt's apartment where they're normally at anyway. Create a little, hey, you can go back there. You know, hey, SeaWorld's, well, I probably shouldn't say too much on that. SeaWorld's apparently done with using orcas. Hey, let these horses that are left at Disneyland live out their life and create a little like photo op back there, park the trolley where they can take pictures and be done with it. Something on Main Street eventually is going to have to give. That's my first one. As much as I love the Main Street vehicles, don't get me wrong, the kids, every time we go to the parks, we're riding them up and down Main Street the first few times. But they are sometimes a bigger pain than they are enjoyable. I hope they never get rid of all of them, but if you're going to get rid of one of them, the horse-drawn trolley can live its life.
I think the horses should go into Frontierland where it makes sense for them to be.
Yeah. Build a little stable out for them. You know, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or you convert that giant dirt hill that's over behind, what is it? The train. You go over. It's over by the native scene on the river, or you're on the Mark Twain. A little horse-drawn ride. Nothing too crazy. Just send it up a hill, down a hill, done.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If you can row a canoe for fun at Disneyland, people are going to wait 60 minutes to hop on a horseback to ride it for a 10-second loop. We do that on Peter Pan anyway. We wait in line for 60 minutes for 30 seconds. So, I mean, people are willing to wait.
Back before Galaxy's Edge, when you had the Thunder Mountain barbecue, what was it? Big
petting
Thunder
zoo.
Ranch. Yeah,
Yep.
you had the
Petting
petting
zoo.
zoo. Like, do this exact same thing. Just have a little spot where they're just hanging out, and then have a little petting zoo, and be like, hey, this is so and so used to pull the horse-drawn trolleys. You're like, oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think because because Main Street is so crowded, you don't want the horses to be there anyway. Like when we were there for Adventureland Day, there was hundreds of us in front of the Starbucks window trying to see the words on one of the windows, and a horse-drawn carriage was trying to get by. That horse was not happy. Like, because there were so many people, and the cast members weren't thrilled either because they're like, "Hello, get out!" Like, there's so much to distract the horse. Like, I feel bad for these horses that like have to navigate these crowds every day. So I don't know. And then with that, like, is that the only thing that needs the track, or is there another vehicle that also uses the track?
It's just the trolley.
Perfect. Even better. So then if you remove the trolley, you don't need the tracks. And that saves the dancers and the parade performers from injuring themselves on the parade route. And any of the marching bands been there for marching down Disneyland and having to navigate through those tracks, and everyday park guests. So I think it's a win-win-win.
I'll stand by that. I like the horses. All right.
I like them too. I just think that it's what they leave behind is not ideal.
You make a fine argument. I just I hope they stay as long as they can.
Yeah. All right.
That said, I don't know. Do you have anything else on yours, or?
If
I
you
was going to bring
go
up
for it.
something else controversial. So if you're talking about getting rid of the horses, for me, I would get rid of that first churro cart right when you walk through on the right side of the train station. There's like the first thing you come across is a churro cart, which makes no sense in the late 1890s or late 1880s, whatever time period that is. Like, there weren't churros back then. Why am I buying a churro here on Main Street, USA? It makes no sense at all. I love the popcorn. The popcorn on the other side, that's perfect. That's gold. But churros,
All right.
what are we doing?
Hot take. Here we go.
All right. I do not disagree with what you're saying, Kevin. I think you're right about that. But I think we could suspend belief when we have molded plastic popcorn buckets on the opposite cart. Popcorn was invented. Those molded plastic buckets weren't.
I agree. Let's get rid of those molded plastic on Main Street. Let's turn into like old tin ones or wood. What did they use back then? I have no idea.
But again, we also didn't have 6-foot mice either in costumes. So I mean, where do we suspend the belief?
Well, Mickey Mouse existed back then, so I mean that's fine.
You know what?
He came out in 28.
Let's do a meet and greet.
He was in my heart.
Let's do a meet and greet where it's just a frame drawing of him. We're gonna get in line to meet Mickey. It's just a framed picture. This was him at this time era.
Or they could do like the old school version where he looks like he did in like in Steamboat Willie. Have like that version walking around only.
Which makes sense because you have the Main Street Cinema right there.
Yeah. See?
Now, on the topic of churro carts, though,
yes.
If I am getting rid of one, though, it's the one that sits in front of the castle next to the Fantasyland entrance, because that sometimes creates a horrible line queue that's all mumbo jumbo when the Pearl Band comes out, or it's the castle photos. Sometimes it just, or when the double-decker bus is trying to go by and it's like honk honk and there's just a line. That one I think you can move.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think they need to. They could put that somewhere else. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of open space back just a little bit towards Matterhorn, where they have bubble wands right now. You can have it where by where they have the face painting and all of that, you can have something back in there. Yeah.
Past Pixie Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that makes
matter
more
where
sense.
you
Tuck
put
it
it, people
away.
are gonna find it and create a line. So
At least it'll be out of the way over there. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sold.
All right, that one's taken care of. Great.
All right, we solved it for you, Disney. You're welcome.
All
Of
right.
course, to be a hypocrite, though, I'm okay with the Starbucks, so we'll keep that there.
You have to have a coffee house. I like that it's not in your face as far as like they went with the thing we talked about this last time. Like you have to have a coffee spot on Main Street. I don't understand the Starbucks. I think that also pulls you away from it. You have Joffrey's Coffee everywhere else. Keep it Joffrey's, or keep it something. But to have it be a commercially known sponsored brand on Main Street when nothing else is like that anymore, it does kind of take you out of it when you stop and look at it like that. But I agree, there needs to be a coffee spot.
Well, the Carnation Cafe is right across the street from it. It's also a branded thing, right? Carnation is not Disney property.
Yeah, technically. I mean, neither is Coke.
All right,
I don't
fine.
think ours is called Coke, right? It's not like Coke Corner is the official name. It's just the
Corner.
refreshment.
We call it Coke Corner.
Yeah.
There is a sign that says Coke Corner on it, though.
It does have the Coca-Cola logo on it, at least here in 2017 on Google Maps. All right,
Yeah,
so yeah, there's issues.
Yeah. All right, knock that off.
Or maybe it's not issues. Maybe it's just precedents, and we're the ones being nitpicky. We need Sunkissed and the Wizard of Braz back. I hear you.
There you go. There it is.
As far as brand names that we trust.
All right. Well, speaking of names that we trust, let's take our last sponsor break and hear from Getaway Today, and then we'll come back with some more ideas and round this out. So, be right back.
It's been a great show so far, but who's ready for an ad break? Did you know that the best way to keep our shows going is by supporting our sponsors? So, let's get to know more about the travel experts at Getaway Today. They've been helping to make vacation dreams come true since 1990. And whether you want to visit the happiest place on earth or to travel to Orlando for a most epic adventure, they are there to help. Are you trying to find out which hotel is your best option or which theme park tickets will work best for your visit? Are you concerned that you might need a last-minute change? No worries. Their travel experts will help you out. Looking to book a cruise but don't know where to start? Hey, they can help with that too. They will find the perfect cruise for your vacation, whether it's your first time or you're a well-seasoned cruiser. When you book your cruise with one of the Getaway Today experts, you will have a dedicated agent to help you every step of the way. They take care of the details so you can have the most fun. Getaway Today offers peace of mind travel, allowing you to cancel or make changes up to 72 hours before your trip. You will always have the most up-to-date vacation information, both pre-arrival and upon welcome. Getaway Today guarantees the best prices, with no hidden fees, and every time you book through Getaway Today, they will donate a portion back to a charitable organization in your area. And so far, over $4.5 million have been donated. So go ahead and dial 1-855-GETAWAY, that's 1-855-438-2929, and be sure to tell them that Walt's Apartment sent you. Or just click the link in our show notes for more information and the best deals to start your Disney, Universal Studios, or cruise vacation planning. What I'm trying to say is, if you like to travel, check out Getaway Today. Alright, so now it's time to get back to enjoying that view from Walt's apartment. Let's get back to the show.
Yes, check out and Getaway Today. There's so much happening at theme parks right now and coming up during the summer, especially Disneyland's 70th anniversary. So if you have any plans to go to any theme park, Getaway Today is your go-to for resources, tickets, all the fun things. So be sure to check them out. All right, Lou, you're up.
All right. So one of the ideas, all mine is plussing. I don't feel like there's a whole lot to gripe about for Main Street. But one thing that I think they should bring back to plus Main Street, the one good spot that this worked was the COVID meet and greet in front of Pixie Hollow. They had that grassy little area where they'd have characters come out and you could take pictures from all angles of that zone. And I thought that was so cool. Me and my wife and my family, outside of the sentimental reasons, we really enjoyed the COVID photo ops because no matter what, you got to see the character. Sometimes you're waiting in line, or you could hang out there with the character for 20, 30 minutes until they pulled them, and it wasn't take your picture and move on. Me, for plussing it, especially since Fantasyland has that secondary entrance outside of the castle, that kind of gives you another weenie there to say, hey, that's where Fantasyland's at. That's where the characters hang. That's their spot. So I think that little shrub area kind of lets you know, hey, we're going into Fantasyland.
Yeah. I like that spot too. It's kind of a like untapped land. It's just the grassy patch just sitting there. And yeah, I totally agree with you. Having the characters just hanging out, like, you know, Winnie the Pooh with his little butterfly net, just like, you know, super cute. And yeah, if you want to take pictures with him, you could. And I 100% agree with you. That is something so simple that they can implement tomorrow.
Right. But if you want to have this greenlit, you need to come up with a better name than the COVID meet and greet. So what are we gonna call this thing?
Story Hill.
Story Hill.
Because then what you could do is you could build like a little like play area where it's all different props. Have a table with teacups and teas and chairs. So when Alice and the Mad Hatter come out, they could sit there. Against the tree, you have Pooh's net and stuff like that. Maybe on the tree hanging there, you have Peter Pan's slingshot, where it's a little play area for the characters. And when they come out, they have props to interact with.
You guys.
Ahmet, you're frozen.
You guys.
You're not frozen.
I'm just in shock. We finally have a reason to do something with the construction walls for the French fries outside of Tomorrowland. Do we realize?
Oh, prop house.
It's a prop house.
Yes.
Oh.
Because then then you bring back those cool sorcerer costumes from Mickey the Magical Map, the paintbrushes and stuff like that. Bring a few of those back, where those cast members are going out, setting it up, and based on the props, you're like, oh, so-and-so's about to come out.
Oh, I love this idea. So that construction wall has been standing there for years. And I know we're not talking about Tomorrowland this time, but it is still part of the hub in that area. And, you know, right next to Storybook Hill. And what better place for it than right there? It's a structural building that's not being used right now. Sold. Fantastic idea.
Right. Got your green light.
All right, Kevin, what's your idea?
All right, so I don't have any great ideas to plus Main Street. I think Main Street is great. Like I said, my whole like 80s to 2000s idea is the only thing I would change. That I think I would personally hate it if it happens. So don't even try to do it, Disney, please. But if they can fix something that I know someone has been working on it for at least like 2 years now. The Jolly Holiday sign. There's got to be a way to make it where it doesn't have it where it's always just slightly broken with the LEDs. I don't know what is going on with it. I know they recently covered it to kind of make it look like it's not as bad as it is. But it's still, I mean, it is jarring that you have the spots where it's just not the right colors. Again, I don't know what went wrong there. I don't know who to blame. I don't think it's Imagineering. I'm sure it's some technicality with the whatever they use to make that sign, but it needs to be fixed.
100%. 100%. It needs to be fixed. We're recording on the 24th, and Kevin and I were just there last night, just to check on some things, check on some images, and the piece of plastic that they put over the sign, it takes you out of the time period. It doesn't make sense, and it is a cover up. And the lighting is still defective underneath it, and it is apparent. I mentioned when we were walking through that there are certain buildings that do not have animated lighting. They just have solid bulbs. Plaza Inn, Crystal Palace, the Candy Arcade. They all have just static, just solid bulbs. Why can't the Jolly Holiday have solid bulbs while they are looking for an electrical fix? It's clearly an electrical issue because that part with the O and the L has been out even when they replaced the bulbs. So something is going on there, and until they fix it, it looks ridiculous. So I completely agree with you. We need to get this fixed.
And to add on to that, I think the Jolly Holiday, when they first because it hasn't been there that long, but it's been there for quite some time, long enough to think that it's been there forever. And the Jolly Holiday, ever since they converted it to be the Jolly Holiday, I feel like it's always been a miss. I mean, if you think of anything Mary Poppins and the Jolly Holiday, that's not it. That's not it at all. Like, the theming is just there. Like, the Plaza Inn at least is an imaginary place, at least I believe it is, where, like, you don't know what it is, so there's nothing to base it off of. And then to be right across the street of a Jolly Holiday, it's like, what is this? Why is this? I more often than not, I go right past the Jolly Holiday. There's no interest to go in there. The food never excites me. The treats never excite me. It's like, I'll go to Plaza Inn. So for me, I kind of agree with Kevin. Obviously, that's just lights. But I think the Jolly Holiday in general is a complete miss for Main Street.
I much prefer the Jolly Holiday over the abandoned building that was there for years. I do like their grilled cheese and tomato soup. I'm not gonna lie, it's fun. It's nice. A lot of the different snacks and stuff, they're fine. But yeah, I'm only griping about the lights personally. I think it being there in general, I'm okay with. I don't know if Mary Poppins really fits in on Main Street that perfectly, like right there, but it's nice to see her in the parks. Considering like a lot of the theme park industry today wouldn't exist without Mary Poppins. I don't know if we've covered that on this show, but the money from Mary Poppins is what led to Maypo, which is where they designed a lot of the rides for. Did a lot of experimenting for rides for Disneyland, and a lot of the technology from that has gone into other parks all around the planet. So Mary Poppins, big deal for theme park fans, even if they don't know it. And I respect that it's in the park, but I think there might be a better way to put it in, other than a restaurant that doesn't really fit in with the theme. Because there weren't any grilled cheese sandwiches in Mary Poppins, I don't think. But you can at least have like some kind of British food there or something if you're going to do a restaurant. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think now you have a lot of characters like who that could lend itself to have their own bakery, and Mary Poppins wouldn't be it. I understand, like Kevin, to your point, the significance of Mary Poppins, but then give her own ride. We don't have a Mary Poppins ride, and even in Epcot when they were talking about it, we still don't have a Mary Poppins ride. So, like
we needed a successful Mary Poppins too. That's what we were missing.
I don't know. Turn it into a TV show or a Disney Junior show. There you go.
Mary Poppins, there were a lot of books.
Like, you can have you can have it be relevant still. The line for Mary Poppins, the Jolly Holiday
Jolly
is
Holiday.
always long, and the fact that it's back open, it is consistently long. It's one of the spots for I feel like they have a good grip on the mobile ordering, and they're always cranking out something new. Um, and for the holiday times and the festive decor and stuff, they always have fun food and stuff over there. I like there's a spot to sit. Um, it's one of the few spots on Main Street that actually has a table you can sit at, just casually without having to, like Plaza Inn has tables, but you have to have food there. Whereas Plaza Inn, you can just grab a table and just sit. So I do like that aspect of it too. But I agree, we can change up the theme. And I do. Wasn't it before that? It was like where you would go to get your annual pass picture taken.
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I prefer an eatery over that. But yes, fix the lighting situation, please. And I thought they were going to
It's just a
with
great.
the renovations that just happened, and now the scaffolding is down, construction walls are down, everything's back open, and piece of plastic's covering the front. It's just bizarre to me.
They fixed it a few times. It just every time they fix it, it just breaks again. I don't know what's going on with those LEDs.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Luz, I see the gears turning. What's your next idea?
So my next one's a small plus that I don't think Disney's consistent on. So we get the ginormous pumpkin, we get the giant Christmas tree, we get the god awful Valentine's one, and that's it. I think the Valentine's statue that they do it's weak. It's looks like some DIY project. Like there's no real umph in it. Like you could do a giant like heart with a cool maybe Mickey face, or even have it to where I know we're ripping a lot of pages out of Universal's books, but for Main Street, the screen idea works. It really does. Have it to where there's two sides and you see all the different couples. I know that might be a sensitive subject these days, but all the different couples in all the Disney movies make their random appearance on the screen. Whether it's Wade and Ember, or Belle and Beast, or I don't know, like Chapek and Iger. I mean, there's a lot of different relationships that you could have made happen on there just to add a little bit more flavor. But also the Walt statue. You have the pumpkins that come out during Halloween time. Why not do little Christmas trees representing the lands again? Do Easter eggs representing the lands, Add just those little subtle things, but also the bronze characters. Those are there, and they're there year round. Maybe figure out some way to incorporate new characters throughout the years, where almost like when me and Amanda talk all the time, when you used to go to try to find all those Mickeys, the giant ones. What if the characters changed around the hub? Little things like that, because I feel like Pinocchio, Dumbo, Chip and Dale, all those, they get forgotten. Like when I walk by them, I'm like, oh, these are cool. But a lot of people it's so busy with the castle photos that area is so congested. Maybe give it a little bit more flair, reasons to go visit that area, that rewritability for the hub. Because right now, when I go to the parks, I avoid that spot. I don't even go to the Walt statues. I know it's so busy. I'm like, yeah, I could forget about that. But if I knew the characters changed, like, hey, let's go see who they have out right now. But also too with the up at the front by the train station, add some more statues, but make sure they're themed as best as you can, because a lot of people hated the Pixar Fest Mobile. I didn't mind it. I just thought Pixar for me is DCA, not Disneyland. So I mean that's the only part I had an issue with it. But give us more things like that. Little opportunities for just a little bit more flavor during the year.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kevin.
to approve of the 70th anniversary like medallion, because they're like where that spot is where the pumpkin and the tree are over at the entrance to Main Street, I guess, whatever you want to call that, the photo op location, or it's currently just like a grassy patch. They've already given out the concept art that they're gonna have a Mickey and Minnie with a 70 logo saying "Celebrate Happy." I don't know how long it's gonna be up. I don't know if it's gonna be up until Halloween. I'm not sure, or if it's gonna be up for the whole year. But do you approve of that at least, or is that not good enough?
I don't mind the themed ones when they're like a certain event, Pixar Fest, and I think those are cool. They're not long term, but like when you think Mickey, the pumpkin Mickey, there's so much. Like, I'm so thankful we have him because Walt Disney World, they just have 3 jack-o'-lanterns stacked on top of each other. So like, but that's like, hey, how do we give more? How do we put just a little bit more? If it's an every year thing, give us a statue worth getting excited for. The town erupts when the first Instagram videos come out that, hey, blinking Mickey is en route to the park, so it'll be popping up soon. There's excitement. Nobody's posting about the Mickey and Minnie Valentine's Day heart. No one's like, oh yeah, it's here. Like, it's forgotten. Or the Christmas, the snow caps for the castle. When those are hauling down the 5 freeway at any given point of the year, the internet blows up. Like, 'tis the season. Let's go. So give us more things that create that excitement, whatever that may be, all year round.
Yeah, I like it. And I mean, we have other major holidays. I mean, they have like for 4th of July and Memorial Day and stuff, they have the patriotic bunting and all of that down, but like they don't have something in the middle per se, or
you have the American
anything
flag
around
right there.
the hub like you were talking about. I know, but not where the pumpkin Mickey is.
Like
you know, like
feet away.
I don't know, but I do appreciate all of the work that the people who put the flower arrangements together and everything do, because those are spot on each and every day. You know, the floral Mickey or Minnie out front, in front of the train station, and all of the flowers where that big pumpkin Mickey would be, or the Christmas tree, like that. All the floral arrangements are just on point. So kudos to the cast members that make that happen.
Call me crazy, but wasn't Tinkerbell part of the Mickey at one point up front, the planter? Wasn't there like lights that used to swirl and then lead to Tinkerbell, like a statue of Tinkerbell?
I don't.
Maybe during one of the celebrations. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I could have sworn, because I remember when me and Tiff first got together, and it was there, and then when we went back, it was gone. So maybe it was a celebration. Let's see. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. Because yeah, I've asked a few people, and it's become one of those things where you're the only one that thinks you saw it and that it's not there. Let's see.
I want to say that I recall lights throughout the floral arrangement on either side, but I could be a false memory. I don't recall Tinkerbell.
Let's put a picture in our Discord for you, Lou.
Oh man, let's see. Oh hey.
There's no details on it as far as when this was, other than it was uploaded in 2009.
Yeah. And that would have been the year
2008.
That would have been the year me and Tiff went.
There you go.
There you go.
So it was
Good
real.
job, Quick Draw.
Yeah. I knew that was there, yeah, because it used to light up every so often, like where she was. I was like, man. And that's a little subtle plus right there. Boom.
Yes.
I dig it. All right, so here's mine. So we talked about the very first thing in the pyramid is what? Pop quiz.
Starts with a
It
story.
all begins with
story.
a story, right? So, yeah, there you go. It all begins with a story. The very first part of the Imagineering
Cornerstone.
pyramid. The first cornerstone. Right when you walk through the park, right when you walk through the turnstiles, to the left or to the right is a gift shop. That is the first thing that you see. You walk past it more often than not, but the far left and the far right, as you walk in, there's a gift shop. And then underneath the train station, or the train tracks on either side is a gift shop, right? So
The kiosk.
the one,
Yeah.
they're kiosks, but they still sell stuff. Now, the one that's just after the turnstiles, there's 2 words above this kiosk. Do you know what they are?
Money, please.
Newsstand and information. But they don't have news. I am suggesting that we bring back a version of the Buena Vista Bugle and the Disneyland newspaper. And we have this be a newsstand where you can get the news of the day as it's happening on Main Street, what's going on around the park, and some storytelling elements mixed in there. Maybe some fun Easter eggs, some deep dives, some deep cuts, but have it be fun. Because I remember when Buena Vista, or when DCA had the Buena Vista Bugle, it was like, get your papes. We need to get this edition. And then you missed one, because you didn't go that week, and you're like, oh man, what happened? I want that excitement back. And so to have something like that again, where it already says newsstand, you have it right there. So get rid of the that merch right there as the very first thing that you see, and have it be an actual newsstand. You can get your buttons there, your celebratory buttons. You can get your information, so you don't need to go all the way to City Hall. You have your maps right there anyway. Get your papes and head out into the park.
You could do that, and since it's Main Street, we're going back in time.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a paper for Disneyland side. It could be a day in Disney history paper, where on this day, and then guess what? You're only able to get it that day. So then, if you want the June 3rd paper, well, guess what? You get it on June 3rd. If not, you gotta wait till next year. But when you print them, it's June 3rd, but you print the year that it is. So June 3rd, 2025. So therefore, I got this one in 2025. Yes, yours is a reprint, but yours says 2027. Mine's older. It's the same exact information on each one, but then it's just boom. And then I would say every week, it's a new paper, and you just give all the key events that happened in that week in Disney history, whether it's Disneyland, Disney Studios, all that. The accusation of Star Wars, the firing of Chapek before a Dodgers game. Give all that juicy content, and then put an article in there like story from an Imagineer. Pay homage to some of your park cast members. Like, hey, this cast member has been there for 10 years. They're in that paper, so then it's like an easy acknowledgement without giving them the giant Snow White trophy acknowledgement. Like, that might be something.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I believe it was an Elton John concert at the Dodger Stadium.
Oh, that's
not
a
Dodger game.
Right.
All right, that's my only nitpick about this entire thing.
I saw your face, and I was like, "Oh, Kevin is like my idea. He's gonna just can it right. Cue the music."
Oh, but no, you could even have like little excerpts in the paper of, hey, here's, we're celebrating, Mickey's birthday over, so come to his house and we're having a big celebration. Get you back to Toontown, or something's going on at the Golden Horseshoe, and just something to keep us engaged with the world that you are about to walk through. Or even have like a quick little advertisement spot, but it's something lighthearted and comical and fun, like the what's on your construction shirt, Kevin, like them.
The Chinese Shin construction company.
Yeah.
Chinese Shin. It's
So you
from
had
when Toontown was being reconstructed there.
exactly. So like have an advertisement for
Well,
them. You can't really see it.
I can't control this camera.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And have like a
And
little
then
ad
you can-
spot for them,
Yep, and you could create a little, home for it if you wanted to do, like, say, go DJ. It would be really cool if it was like, I know I'm the Toontown fan, but like, create call it the Toontown Bugle, right? The people of Disney. Then you create some small little, and there's probably already a sign back there, some newspaper company in Toontown, and then that way it ties the whole park together.
Mm-hmm.
It's made at the ink and paint.
There it is.
The ink and paint paper. That's a tongue twister.
I feel like it needs to be said. I mean, it feels like this conversation, it's like someone kind of pitching like the UFOs, like whatever, like that attraction like they did for the tires, like that attraction again, where it's like, we've done the newspaper before, it didn't work, everybody. Like I'm not sure why they stopped it so quickly both times they've done this. I'm guessing it's littering and people complaining about waste of paper. But
I think it's definitely probably littering, but I think too, when you read it, it was fake stuff. Like this is a paper about fake information. If you were to put stuff in there that you've wanted to read, or like people were interested in, an article about Bob Gurr created Disneyland, things like that, or like what we talked about a few episodes back about what ifs, do a thing about that, have a little section, the marvelous scene and stuff like that. I think if it was a paper with actual readable information that was real, I think they would take off more. The ones before
I want to say the Buena Vista Bugle actually had some stories in it. Like it was talking about the new attractions that were opening.
It had some stories, and like the new attraction was the headline. But when you opened it up, it was the same Dreyer's ice cream marketing. It was all like the front page was your key story, but everything inside was almost carbon copy every so months. But like if you were to sit there and put actual articles about what's going on, and not really what's going on, but entertainment stuff, advertising the 70th, or on Mickey's birthday, all of a sudden there's old school Mickey comics in there and pictures of artificial Mickey as he's like a youngster in Walt's arm. Have like Walt standing over like a baby incubator and little Mickey's in there. Like, I think if you played to what people want to see, it'll work. But when you go to fiction where it's like, this is just part of our storytelling, why not tell a story?
Yeah. And you have like a little comic section where you have like the story, like a storyboard of something going on, a little comic strip, but it's like actually drawn by like Disney artists. Like
sick.
People would totally like get multiple and then cut that out and frame it.
I have the original Walt, or not the original, but I have one of these Buena Vista Street opening papers.
Yeah, I think we do too. I think we found it
Somewhere.
the other
I'm
day.
not sure where they are.
I used to grab stacks of them every time they were like. Every time I went to the parks, I was like, "Yeah, I need 12 of them."
I'm gonna pass them out to my friends.
There's the problem.
Yep.
But it was
so
true
what
though.
If they
You
replaced it with like a QR code. You'd open up in the Play Disney app, have like the newspaper there.
It's not the same. I think you could have it as an option for those that don't want to take the paper. Or here we go. You put a bunch of like the New York style newspaper stands in there where it costs you a quarter. So they're making the money back a little bit.
I want to say the first newspaper, like the one that Marty Sklar worked on, it wasn't free. They charged people like for that paper. But I don't remember the amount.
But you know people would pay easily for it. You know?
Yeah, I have a whole. Speaking of people that are paying for stuff, I have fallen victim of the inflation penny. Have you heard about those? So at Disneyland, they have these things that are known as inflation pennies, and I have fallen victim of these. And these little golden medallions they have everywhere right now, are slowly replacing the pressed penny, and you get 4 artificial gold coins for $20. Guess what? I'm probably sitting on $1,000 right here. So like people will buy it. Yeah, I'm such a sucker for those things.
Is it an accident where you put your credit card thinking like you could get just one, but then it gives you all like every single time?
No. I know what I'm doing, and it's hard to pick one. Yeah, but I'm also like, I don't want to be one of those guys. Oh, I wish I would have collected all of them. So now it's like I just started collecting them. So I have fallen victim of the modern day vinylmation. But yeah, people are down to buy the most popcorn buckets. We were just talking about a little while ago. People will buy things. You just got to give them a reason to and create that artificial scarcity, and people will buy it.
Yeah. And to say, hey, this is your one day to get in. You know, it's going to have today's date, and or even just the week of, like people will go there every week for it.
Imagine they do a paper, and I know I'm shooting for the stars. I'm shooting for the freezer at Walt's at this point. But imagine if they did a paper talking about like the history of things that are no longer here. They did a Splash Mountain paper. People would line up to buy that. And Disney could say, hey, it was here. That's not being technical. They're not erasing history. It's now in the history. It's gone. But now you can talk about it. This was a once-lived attraction. People would line up like crazy to buy those papers just to say Disney printed something with Splash Mountain on it. I would. I mean, I'd be one of those guys.
Yeah. I'm glad that you like the idea. All right. So I think Lou, you said you had one more?
Yep, I had 2.5, and the Easter egg and the wreath, that was my half one. So this one, this was my original ride idea before I went with the Main Street People movement. Okay, I enjoy the train. The train is fun. The train is timeless. There are some times, though, the train gets boring. Well, everybody else seems to do it, but we don't. Why not have, and at the Main Street station, you have, at the top of every hour, you have the Friends train, where Mickey, the Friends, the characters come up into the train station, they hop on certain cars. This train gets emptied out at Toontown. Like, it has to empty. This one train, the top of the hour, has to be empty. This is the last stop. Comes back around to Main Street. You see on the steps, you see a bunch of characters that are getting ready to ride what we call the Friends train. They hop in certain carts. You're waiting in line. All of a sudden, you load up on this train, and where are you going? Well, it only makes sense for characters to go where? The Fantasyland Toontown train station. You catch the ride with them. You get to ask questions, kind of like story time with Belle. All of the audio for the train ride is converted for this half of the loop. For this loop, though, you bypass New Orleans Station because there's audio from start to finish from Main Street all the way around to Toontown. Mickey and friends get off, create those magic memories of Mickey, Donald, and the gang heading into Toontown. People like Genie, Aladdin, Pinocchio, Geppetto going the opposite way into Fantasyland and creating those story hallmark commercial moments for kids and family to get those commercial like Disney shots. And the audio would be something along the line of maybe you hear other voices of Disney characters that you can't quite have on the train. Maybe like Sebastian or Baloo, who's obviously a bigger character as a safety concern. And then what you would do, I just thought about this part, you would have those characters pop in when it makes sense in that little half a loop. So Sebastian and Ariel, you'd have them talking when they're going over the rivers of America because they're down there. They can't ride it with us because they're down in the water, you know? Obviously, we've seen human form of Ariel, but you call it the Friends train, and it happens the top of every hour. So it's only one train for a 10-minute loop, half loop, from Main Street Station all the way over to Toontown Station.
I'm bored with this. I know Amanda and I were at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park last month. And if you've ever been to this park, they only have one attraction where it's like the safari that goes around all their animals out there. But once a day, I don't know if it's just Sundays or what it is, it's like kind of a weird schedule for it. They have it where you can reserve a free ticket to do their botanical version of that same tour. So that's how I would picture this working. It's like, hey, if you guys want to do the Town one time a day experience with characters, sign up for this virtual queue for it. It's going to be at noon today only. Get in line for its own separate line so you aren't interfering with the main line. But it's going to be a really fun experience for you, for the people who signed up for it, and only you. So I can see it working. We've seen proof of concept that it can work, and yeah, it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really, really like this idea. And it makes sense for it to be a half loop and end at the Toontown Fantasyland, because then the characters could then get off with everybody and go to the Fantasyland Theater for a proper meet and greet.
Oh, that's even better.
And so like all of those characters, because we know they can house a lot of characters in one spot, and then you just hop around. Everybody on that train just goes, if they want to, goes right into that theater, exclusive just for that train. And then once they are done, then you can open it up to everybody, or just those characters just go backstage.
That's not a bad idea, because it drops you off and you could block that off where they exit there and go straight into the arena.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yep. And then
point though, they can start charging for it. So I like this even better.
Exactly. And then that way too, like I don't know if on the hour, I think that might be a little excessive, but if you have it like maybe twice a day, have it once before the park hop, right? Have it once before the park hop, and then another in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Like in between parade times.
If you're gonna charge for it, it'd be cool just to have like those little they have at Toontown, little kids' waters and the little cuties. You can call it just like snack time with the characters, where they're just sitting there enjoying their snack with the characters, and boom, heading around. And then that'd be cool. And you only need like 2 characters per cart. That way, there's one on one side and one on the other. So that way, no matter what cart you're in, you have a character of some sort. And then you treat it like the Princess House Theater or the Royal Theater, where you have a little board that says, hey, these are the characters coming into town today. And then that way you know, hey, I've already seen those characters. I don't need to sign up today. Or, oh, we've never met Tarzan on the train. Let's meet Tarzan, you know. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more human-like characters because they're easier to maneuver in and out of the train. But like Pinocchio, he's just got a helmet and some big shoes. You could probably make that work. Who else is very similar to that? Like the Mad Hatter. Human, but a big hat. So, and then you could theme that all year round. Easter time, you have all the rabbits that usually come out. You could call it the Easter train. Halloween, you have to with Jack, Sally, and all the villains. Oh my gosh. I would pay for a villains train. And then you do the villains train. You do the villains train that complements Villains Grove, but then that also gives a baby gap punch to Universal and says, hey, we got some dark stuff going on over here too. Not as cool as Dark Universe, I'll give you that, but it's a subtle nod.
Yeah, I think that would be huge. And yeah, to have it be a upscaled, it's not like a tour per se, but along the same lines of an experience where it's a paid thing. Um, yeah, I think that would sell out in no time. And to have the spontaneity of you don't know who you're going to see, you don't know who's going to be in your car, because regardless of who's in your car, you can still see everybody else. Um, like at the meet and greet area. But I was just reminded of how Knott's has their train, where they have a bank robber going through,
Yep.
or two going through the trains. Now they have it where you can actually go walk from car to car. We don't have that, but having it where the group of characters comes out and they're all face characters. They can have expression of like, all right, let's go on this train. And then each one goes into a separate car.
Yeah.
And hang out. So
you could even have the characters, just to add some more magic for those that can experience it, but also market it. You could have the characters catch the train at Toontown. So come out of the show area, catch the train, and then from Toontown to Main Street, you're advertising what's about to happen. Imagine being on Autopia and you see a train of your favorite characters go by. You're like, what the hell was that? And then when they come into Main Street, you're already in line. And just like Walt did when he came in on the train, you see the train come pulling in, and here's the surprise of who's on the train. And in that way, the characters are already on there. They're situated. They're buckled in, whatever safety precautions you have to do. And then all you got to do is have the guests go into each cart. And then they ride it back around to Toontown.
that would be so much fun. I can see that being kind of chaotic, though, of a bunch of kids going to a particular character and then being really upset that train's already full.
Yeah,
well, that could happen.
So you might have a slight issue with that one, but maybe if they just like, because this is a booked experience, that you could like tell the parents, hey, here's the lineup. Who do you want to see? And then you have a special ticket just for that car. Because then you can like tailor it to your kid,
Yeah. Or what if you do the COVID meet and greet style and the characters that are riding the train get picked up in their respective lands that obviously there's only 3 besides Main Street, so you can't fit everybody. But like, say, I don't know, Tiana, she does the COVID wave and meet and greet to everyone by her restaurants like that. Obviously, it's blocked off because she's getting ready to bail out. Hey, she's catching the train in New Orleans. You go to Toontown, you're grabbing Roger Rabbit and whoever else in Fantasyland. Then you go to Tomorrowland and maybe Buzz hops on the train, and then it goes to Main Street. Now you have to do the half loop with all the youth that want to participate. Because then that plays into storytelling, and it all starts off with a story.
Yeah. I think it's a solid idea.
You heard it here first. So we own all rights to that idea. If you want to take that idea, just compensate us by some non-blacked out magic keys and maybe like a decent a Disney Visa card. Nothing too crazy. We're not expensive. I can be bought.
Yes, we all could. We would all like to have our little. You can put our names down in the the newspaper of the day, saying you heard it here first.
Mm-hmm.
So
Solicited idea provided by.
Yeah.
A simple lifetime pass, maybe a Disney EBT card, and I don't know, like 50% off merch. Like, hey. That's all I'm asking. It's pretty easy.
Yeah. And like Club 33. All right. Easy. That's all we're asking for.
You know what? I'll even be modest. Just give me one trip to do Club 33. The bill's on you. And I'll be okay.
Easy.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, do we have any other things we want to throw out there before we call it?
I don't, but what
Lockdown
do we want to
mystery.
give them a tease of what's coming next?
Yes. So we're continuing this series of exploring the lands around Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom where the overlays are. And so we started in Main Street and then we're going clockwise around the hub. So next week, we're going to dive into Adventureland and seeing. I know it's gonna be a really good episode. We're gonna be talking about the Imagineering pyramid. We're not gonna do a deep dive, but the last time was just kind of a refresher of what's going on. But we're gonna take each tier and see how the Imagineers have taken Adventureland and created a story out of that. So be sure to tune in for that. So ready to close out? Ready to go home?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if you have enjoyed this episode, please, please, please scroll down to your podcast players. Scroll. You're on YouTube and give us a 5-star rating. And if you have an extra minute to leave a written review, that really goes a long way. You can even share it to a fellow armchair Imagineer. It just tells all of Apple and YouTube and Spotify and everywhere that you enjoy what we do and you want to share it out with the world. And in doing so, they will share it out to more people as well. So it only takes a couple of seconds to scroll down and give us that 5-star rating. We really, really, really appreciate it. And don't forget to check out our amazing sponsors, our absolutely free Discord, and our Patreon page for all the details. All right, so until next time, continue to place trust in the magic of imagination and remember the details within the parks surround us in our everyday lives. Imagine that. Good night, everybody.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.